Hi, this is Roger. Thanks for dropping by. Happy New Year, everybody. Those that did it ages ago and those that have only just done it as the old Dateline travels around the planet. I didn't even stay up, I must admit, although I did get woken up at sort of 5 to 12 by local fireworks. Cats went scatty as usual. They just do not like the fireworks. It's strange, my daughter's cats take no notice at all. Mine are absolutely petrified. But the silly things decide to run out. You know, instead of hiding somewhere in the house, they run outside where the fireworks are. No brains, some cats. Anyway, I don't go much for calendars. So even though it's an official new year today, for me, the orchid year isn't yet. The orchid year starts around March, as we get back to the natural 11-hour day lengths, and the day lengths get longer. There's some warmth during the day, hopefully a few more sunny days as well. And that's the time of year where the orchids start kicking off, you know, and really sort of start moving. I mean, by then the resting dendrobiums should be coming into their own. I always look forward to that time of year. Now I've got that rest off to a reasonable art. It's become a reliable thing now. But that's only 1 year. I mean, last winter was the first time I got it as close as it needs to be to get reliable bloomings. So it's a relatively new thing. I think that took 3 years to get that somewhere near it. You know, so it was a progression rather than an instant sort of thing. And I do my own thing with the resting dendrobiums. I don't do quite what others say or what the books say. I don't do, you know, this calendar related thing, you know, where you reduce your watering and feed down and then stop altogether on whatever it is, Halloween, and don't start again till Valentine's Day. I don't do calendar things. I look at the plants, I watch my plants and try and respond to what they would like to do. And you know, some of you may have got recently acquired dendrobiums. It's quite possible they're out of season and they don't want to rest. Well, if they don't want to and they want to grow, then I would suggest you keep them growing and wait, you know. And once they've had a full growing season with you in your environment, then with a strong healthy plant you can think about doing a more formal resting period. But I would never rest an unhealthy plant. I just wouldn't do that. It's the plant first. Blow the blooms, they'll come later, hopefully. But you know what I mean. You know, trying to withhold water and feed from a plant that's unhealthy and has a poor root system is not the best of ideas. It's a good way to lose them. And certainly in some of my previous winters, I lost some as a consequence of trying to follow the books, follow the calendar. So I just don't do that anymore. Things to look forward to this year. I'm mobile again. I have a reliable car. So the things that will come as the weather gets better are my field trips, you know, out looking for our native orchids and filming them in situ and their environments, and those sort of days out, naturey days, looking for butterflies and things like that, which, although our English butterflies are not a hobby, they have been an interest of mine for as long as I can remember. I just love the beauty and the differences and the different environments they live in, and I like to get out and see them and film them. So we'll have some of that to look forward to. Obviously there will be an odd smattering of new plants as the season progresses, but that's going to be quite low numbers. You know, the space is relatively limited, but with some clear outs, some losses, you know, for various reasons, I do have certain types of space, not all types of space. My highlight shelves are pretty busy, you know, like that Cattleya shelf up there. You wouldn't get much more on there, would you? I brought my two Paphiopedilums out that are in bud so that we can see them as they bloom. They'll be coming soon. That's Mordier, and this is Magical Venus. That's a lovely dark colour with lovely patterning and warty, hairy bits on. That's quite an attractive bloom when that arrives. My Nobelies are all in bud. Some are actually going to bloom soon. Bless their little cotton socks. That's Kikis. I'd rather you grew new growths, so I'm not going to leave those blooms on the plant too long. Got quite a few Tolumnia spikes coming on, and watering the mount yesterday I found another spike, so there's another Tolumnia going to do its thing down the line. That will be a repeat blooming, that's not a first time bloomer, that one, but coming on. And I don't know what's going on with these two. I have to get through the sea. Those Latoria buds have been looking like that for some considerable time. They just don't seem to want to open. Now that just may be a trait of this one, but I don't see them getting any bigger at the moment. There are some signs of the sepals splitting at the end, so maybe they'll open. But again, my Latorias and my Dendrobium phalaenopsis types don't like it out here in the winter. It's too flipping cold for them. So they're not at their best. They're not growing, well, I was going to say they're not growing well. They're not growing at all, quite honestly. It's too cold for them. And this is the downside of a varied collection. Some of the orchids are on their extremities. Things like Masdevallias, Draculas, they're loving it this time of year. It's perfect for them. But come the summertime, they won't be happy. The Miltoniopsis won't be happy, but they're happy now, And then there's, the warmer growers, those that would prefer up the higher end of the intermediate. They're just not happy in the winter. They don't do so well. They slow down and in some cases stop. And then they get going again when the better weather comes. This year, for the first time, I've had grow lights, and it's very difficult to prove whether they've done anything. Very difficult. There's a couple of examples that may work. I've got this little direct light here above this little shelf here. But it's difficult to say if it's doing any good. That may be the selection of plants. When I first got the grow lights, my friend Alan said, well, if you're going to do an experiment with grow lights, you need some plants, don't you? And he gave me 6. Let's see if I can, there's one fallen over here. 6 tiny little Dendrobium seedlings. Now this is actually moniliform crossed with something. I can't read that. Ratian or so, I don't know. I'm going to have to ask him what that is. But it's the moniliform variegata, which is this one over here. And I originally got this from that guy, Alan, as a young plant. We don't come across the variegata one very often. But anyway, he gave me 6 of these little things. And 3 of them are directly under that light. And 3 of them aren't. So that was the proof of the pudding sort of thing. Do the lights do any good? But unfortunately, they're not growing. I think they were kept a little bit dry at Alan's place. I'm not sure, but they were bone dry when I got them. But it's difficult to tell. What I think may be the test is that those under the lights may come back into growth sooner than the 3 that are down there that aren't under the lights. They just get some natural light, but they're shaded from the actual grow lights. So it may not be the best of experiments, I must admit. But I'm hoping what the lights will do, because it's extended the day length through the winter, is that growth will come on some of the orchids earlier in the season, which means they will get a longer growing season this year than they've ever had before. But it's incredibly difficult to tell, really, But anyway, we do what we can. That's about it for today, I think. There's nothing new opened as such. It looks like we're actually going to get some... Oh, blimey, sunshine, that's bright. Just look straight at the sun. But we are going to get a bit of sunshine today, and that's the first bit of sun that this grow room's had for quite some time now. It's been pretty dull. just dull and grey, not wet and miserable, which is the weather I really don't like. But yeah, I mean a bit of brightness, that will do the resting dendrobiums the world of good, because they're effectively up that rack there. The ones on the other side get the sun, as do these up in the near the glass. So they do get that direct sun straight through the glass. That's the best light I can give them. And I've had to make a decision: do I put them under the grow lights? But then I don't have the grow lights on during the day. I tend to put those on, you know, as the afternoon progresses and the light level begins to change. I put the grow lights on and leave those on until till around 7:30 in the evening, which takes them up to sort of 11 hours plus. But it would be good to get back to the real 11 hours of daylight, proper light, you know, light coming in from all directions. That's what the plants need, really. And you'll always have little bits of problems generated by single light sources. You know, if you're growing in windows, you have a single light source. It's coming in through that window, which means the back of the plant isn't getting the light. Now, a lot of people would say, well, you can, you know, progressively turn them a little bit at a time. That can actually mess plants up a bit, because they will try and turn their leaves to face the light. And although you may end up with what I call a lopsided or a one-sided plant where all the leaves face the same way, that's actually better for the plant than keep turning it. But you know, I'm lucky. I get light in from effectively the two sides where the sun is and the roof, especially in the summer when the sun's high, it comes straight in through the roof, and less comes in from the sides, but it's so bright at that time of year, where it comes from makes no difference. Yeah, and the other thing I've got going this year that I haven't had before really is starting to do the orchid talks. That's a new thing for me. I put one together for February this year for the Bournemouth Orchid Society, but then Wessex had somebody drop out, and Lawrence, the guy who organises the programme, said, have you got anything you could do at short notice? And I said, well, luckily, yes, I do have something sort of ready to go. And he said, well, can you do that for us? So I've done that talk once. I'll be repeating that in February, so that's just like the same talk repeated. I've got my very basic real beginners one to do that's not to an orchid society, it's to a horticultural society, and they asked me to come along and talk about looking after the sort of orchids you buy in the supermarket, so mainly Phalaenopsis, you know, the complex hybrid Phalaenopsis, and I'll be doing a repotting demo. I'll have to go out and see if I can find one with a manky set of roots to show what you're up against, because I haven't got any. Well, I have virtually no Phalaenopsis in this collection, and most of the ones I've got are mounted. But anyway, I've got that one to do, and then I've got a new one to put together, which that's not got to be done till May, but that's just my dendrobiums. I'll feel comfortable doing that one. And I've been collecting clips together, you know, to get that, to try and show seasons. So I've already filmed some of them as they're going into their winter rest. I can discuss about, you know, the times of year you start thinking about changing your watering and feeding. And then I've got some clips of what they look like in the middle of their rest, you know, dumping all their leaves all over me other plants. And then obviously as they come into bloom and start their growth season. So by the time we get to May, when I've got to do that talk, I should have a good variety of clips to show the progress through the seasons. That's the idea anyway. My Dendrobium Phalaenopsis, there's a spike on that one. That's the, I think that's Thai Angel. That's the very attractive one. There's another pretty poor spike on that one. I think that one's white. And the other one over there that hasn't grown that well this year, although it's pulled on a little better than it was, that hasn't bloomed for ages. And until it does, I don't know what it is. Because once upon a time I had 6 and now I've only got 3. 2 of them I know, and the other one is unknown until it blooms. And depending on what the blooms are, I may even have a name for it. But it might have to just be hybrid, which I don't mind. Yep, and we will have some plants to go on to other people once the weather gets good enough to be, to start posting things. And we may have a problem there. We'll have to see how this Brexit nonsense progresses and what it looks like it's going to be like. Because obviously at the end of March, things could change dramatically. And where in the past I've said I can only post to the EU, I might not be allowed to. I might only be able to post to the UK, depending on how that goes. That's going to make a hell of a difference to the orchid world if that goes bad. But, that's what the people said they wanted, although I'm sure they didn't really know what they were going to get. But now we know more, perhaps our minds may have drifted in a different direction. But it's too flipping late now. Anyway, that's politics. I try and stay away from it. I don't vote. I just think it encourages them. I think they're all I can't use a polite expression that actually says what I think about politicians. Still, we got to have something. Could try a dictatorship if you don't like the normal elections and see how that goes. See how you like that. Might not be quite as good, and then you might think back, actually it wasn't so bad before. Anyway, so Happy New Year. That's really all I wanted to say today, and let's all have a good growing year. Thanks for people who've posted on the Facebook page. That seems to be taking off quite nicely. There's lots of people joining in. Had a video or two added to the timeline, and some problem plants, and some people just showing plants that are nice and stuff. That's it. That's really what the Facebook page is for sharing, which is something. Although my videos are obviously shared on YouTube, I've got to go and find other people's to get that sharing feeling, if you see what I mean. Whereas on Facebook, it collects it together, and we can all share stuff and all see what everybody else is sharing. So that was the idea, and it seems to be working. It's, I think there's about 350 people have put in friends requests, and like I said, every friend request is accepted. So, all you got to do is put the request in and you're in. You can then post and leave comments and all that sort of stuff. So it seems to be going along okay. I believe there may have been a problem, which is a Facebook thing that I can assure you, if it starts getting a hold on my Facebook page, it will be chopped in no uncertain terms. I'm not having rows breaking out like it does on some of the other larger Facebook places, groups and things like that, where one person says something in just a run-of-the-mill comment, and then somebody will jump in and criticise it, and then somebody else will jump in, and I'm not having any of that. And I think I may have had one of those that sort of started going, and I think the person who put the post up there removed it, because one seems to have gone missing. And if that's true and you felt a bit wrong about your post, I'm sorry for a start, but I'm not having it. Yeah? Keep it nice, keep it tidy, keep it friendly. Because the consequences will be severe. I won't put up with it, same as I don't on my YouTube channel. But we don't tend to get all that on YouTube. Seems to be a Facebook thing. But I'm not going to let it get out of hand. It just won't be allowed to. So, you can make your comments in all good faith like that, but if I see a little mini row starting to break out, I'll chop it. So take care, be nice. Let's all be nice. Got enough problems growing our orchids without rows breaking out on Facebook, so it will be stopped. And I'm on it. It's not like something that will be left to fester, I think is the expression. I'll probably visit that Facebook page every day as part of my routine. I've told you how my routine works. Videos go up sometime during the day. And first thing in the morning, with a couple of coffees to aid my little mind as it gets going, I deal with my comments on my YouTube channel. And when I've dealt with all my comments and stuff, I go and have a look at other people that I'm subscribed to and have a look at any videos that they've posted and possibly leave a comment. But now I then progress onto my Facebook page and see what's going on there. So it's now part of my routine, so it will get dealt with frequently. And thanks for everybody that's posted so far. Keep it coming. Let's keep it busy and varied. Yeah, good stuff. Apart from that, I hope we have a good year and we share our problems and our successes and our failures. Because if somebody has a failure and they know why, by sharing, you may stop somebody else going down that path. Yeah, that's what this sharing stuff's all about. It's a learning curve, and that learning never stops. We keep learning little bits. At first, it may seem a mountain to climb, but trust me, it gets easier. But it doesn't stop. You pick up little snippets every now and again about perhaps an individual plant that you've got. So it never stops. It's good stuff. It's a good learning environment, both the YouTube and Facebook. So let's keep it all going and let's all have some successes. And if we have any failures, at least try and find out why and don't do it again. That's the best you can do. And I'll see you next time. I will be... my talk that I did, that's sort of ready to go in February, I had a quick look at it when I had a quiet spot, and although I've done it once and it went down well, I ended up going at breakneck speed. It's got too much in it for 45 minutes. It's like trying to cram an hour into 45 minutes. And consequently, I'm going at breakneck speed, which I don't feel comfortable doing. So I'm going to dig that one out and revisit it, edit it, get rid of some stuff, and make it flow a bit better, I hope. And when I've done that, I'll put it on YouTube so that you can see what I've done and put your comments in there, suggestions for changes, all that sort of stuff. But I'll need to get on with it because that talk needs to be ready for the middle of February. No, sorry, end of February. And that time will go. That time will go quickly. So I'll get on with that and then we can all have a look at that and get that in a nice sort of polished thing. And see how it goes. I mean, I'm hoping I get asked to do a few more. I enjoy doing them. I don't find them stressful or anything, as long as they're on a subject I know a bit about. You know, if somebody said, we want you to do a talk on catasetums, the answer would be an emphatic no. I haven't got any, I know nothing about them, and I'm not putting together something about a subject that I've had to research to find out, because I'd never be sure that what I was saying was good stuff. Whereas if I'm talking about my own plants, especially those that I've had for quite a while, I have an air of confidence about the experience that goes with them. You know, that's why they're still alive. They're not doing, you know, they're not doing bad. So we'll go down that road and let's have another quick look at this. Oh, what about against the sun? I wonder if that works. I must admit, as a spur of the moment, I'm fed up purchase, which is exactly what this was. When my internet went down and I messed up my live broadcast. I'm now well pleased, and I think this may have been purchased under other circumstances as well. It's a smashing bloom. It's attractive. There's very little fragrance on it, but it's an attractive bloom. I'm well pleased, and it's a good plant as well. And I'm surprised that it had a good root system. Bearing in mind it came from a home base, basically, you know, a sort of do-it-yourself type place. Anyway, have a good year, yeah? And keep it all going. Those that do videos, keep up with it. I know it's difficult when you start a channel up, but the only way to get your channel to grow is to keep at it. You've just got to keep at it. And don't get a bit forlorn because you don't get many views at first. They will come, but they will only come if you keep at it. You just got to keep up the work and try and think about ways of making that workload as easy as possible. That's what I've done over the years. Literally, when I will take this camera in, download what's on this camera onto the computer. While it's doing that, I'll make a coffee because that takes 3 or 4 minutes. Open up my editing software, get these clips in there, change the title, start it rendering, when I walk away, I'll start doing some watering while that bit's going. So if this is a half-hour video, that'll take about 40 minutes, and then get it onto YouTube. The workload is low, or it is for me, and try and think of ways of making your video life easier. The software I use, which is Power Director, I've got version 14, which is an older version, but I think the latest version is 17. But the amount they've added in, you probably wouldn't use. You don't need to go for the latest version to do these sort of videos. The flashy bells and whistles that are in that software are, you know, they're at a professional level. You'll only use 10% of the facilities, so why pay for them if you can get hold of an older version? And there is a free version. So you can actually use the same software as me without spending any money. Obviously, it's not going to work on a phone or that sort of thing. I mean, I use a computer, but it would certainly work on a laptop. You know, it's geared up to Windows. I think. I don't know whether there's a Mac version. Probably nowadays, but I use Windows, so it works fine for me. But there is a free version. It means you will have to put up with their logo in the bottom right-hand side of your videos. But so what? You know, I don't see that as a big deal. You know, actually showing what software you've used, bit of free advertising for them. It's not a big deal. So there is a free version out there if you want. And I've got somebody at the door, so I'm going to cut this one off, and I'll see you next time. And we'll get back to looking at some specific orchids in the next one. Bye for now.